So in this video, we're going to be creating an open world game inside Godot engine, and we're going to be using visual scripting for everything we're doing. So the first thing I've done is I've already added all the models I'm going to be using for this and also the add-ons. I've turned everything on. So the add-ons I'm using are the Orchestrator add-on, the Terrain 3D, the third-person template, and the JoyStick, the virtual joystick. So I'm going to be using these four add-ons for this particular work to speed up what I'm doing. So the first thing I want to do is just to go ahead to create my terrain first. That's the first thing I want to do. So I already have this here, and I'll click on 3D here, the terrain for a 3D scene. So if you click here, you click on your project settings. So I already have this, and you just turn it on, make sure it's turned on. So I'm going to close this. So right now, right click here and add a child node, and I'll add a terrain. So once I go here, I'll add a terrain 3D, and it's going to give me a large place I can work with. So here now, once I do this, I'm going to go ahead to add some textures on this particular platform here, this particular terrain that I have here. So I'll do that by going down. So I have some terrain textures I've already added. So if you click on them, you actually see I have the albedo and the normal. So that's, you have to use these two textures for it to look more realistic. Now the second thing you need to do is that you have to select it, go to your import and make sure it's turned on to view RAM compressed and this minimap are generated, and then you re-import it. So if you don't do this, it's not going to appear very well. So do that for both this and also this one. And if you have a second texture, you can also do that. Now for this version of Terrain 3D, it only allows two textures. If you add a third texture, it's going to crash the software. So just go ahead to do that. Select the second one and also make sure that it's actually VRAM, and also this is turned on and you import it. So once I do that, I will just come up here and go back to my scene. So it's giving me a warning here. The warning means I have to do something. So I'm going to click here and create a new folder. I'm going to call this my terrain storage. So this will enable me to store my terrain so that I can reuse it in this particular project. So once I click on terrain storage, I can select it, and over here I'm going to click here and save the material inside that terrain storage, and also save my assets so that I can reuse this particular thing. Just save. Right now I will just go on to select this and go down to where I have my textures, and I'm going to click on my texture, add a texture. And once I add a texture, I will select this dark rough rock, okay, and drag it into this place and just drop it in here. Also select this one, right click here again to make this visible, drag this second one and add it into your normals here. Once you add it, you now have the terrain 3D working well. So you can adjust the scale in here if it's not good enough for you. So however you want it is going to appear that way. So once you come very close, you're not going to see the tiling any longer. It's going to appear more realistic. So save your work. Now I'm going to save this one as my terrain. So this is my terrain that I have here. So the second thing I want to add my trees. I want to add some trees to this particular scene here. To add trees, I'm going to use a mesh. So for the mesh, I've already created some trees inside Blender. So if I open my 3D models, I can just go down to where I have my trees. So I have my tree 1 and tree 2. So I'm just going to open up those trees. So here I have my tree. So I can just come in here, and once I click on that new one, if I add it, once you right click to select it, you can just drag this and drop it inside this particular empty here to make sure it's selected properly. And I export it as a GLB file if you look at the format there. So once you do that, this is the mesh. This is actually created inside Blender. So I can just come in here and start clicking. But before I click, I will just go down and select this instance mesh. That's what you're going to be using. So if you click on instance mesh, it's going to help you create things. Now, whenever you click and you don't see anything, it means that some of these things have not been selected. So you need to go and use this add region to add your regions. So you can just select and select back again if it's not selecting properly, and then you just select those regions. So you can select more regions if you need to affect them later. So let's go back here and it should work now. So if you click, you can just have those trees appear at random locations. So when you come close, even if you don't see them, if you come close, you begin to see them. So they are optimized by default. If you want to add more trees, you can just click on the plus sign, and let me go for other trees that I have here. So I have my tree 2, I have my tree 1 here. So I can just drag this and just put it here, and I can still do the same thing. Different trees that I actually have. So if you want to go back to this, you can right click here and start using this one, painting the green. If you want to use this one, you can right click there and start painting with that particular one. So this is how you keep on doing until you work on everything you want. So right now I'm done with my terrain, so I'm going to just save my terrain, and I'm sure everything is fine there. So over here I'm going to create a new thing. I want to work on my character now. So let's work on our character. So I'm going to go to my character. So I have a character here. I'm going to create a new scene here, and I'll create a new 3D scene. I'll right click on it and add a child scene. Remember, we have already added the third person controller. So if you don't know how to do that, just come up here and you type your third person and you get this add-on. Once you install it into your system and it's in the proper folder, which is this add-on folder, it will you don't even have to turn it on. It's going to be available by default. So when you right click, now you have to instantiate it as a child. That's how you work with it. So let me go back to my 3D scene, right click, add as a child, and I'll go for my third person. So template. So just type template. That's the fastest way to do it. Type template and you select this one here, the add-on third person template character player template. So that's the one you're going to use. So once you open it, it's going to give you this player here. So we need this because I've already created my own player I'm going to use. Let me show you this player that I've worked on. So what I did was that I exported the player into Blender and changed it. So I have another video where I did that already. You can check my channel for it. So if you go down to here, you can see, let me snap this and this. If you go to where I have my robot, if you double click on this, you see that I have this character. This is the same character, but I just exported it and worked on it inside Blender to give it a different look and feel. So I'm going to work on that. Now, for me to be able to use this, I need to go and import this. So I'm going to right click on this and I'm just going to double click on it. And once I double click on it, I will go over here and go to my work. So I'll go to the work, make sure it's in linear. If it's not on linear, by default it won't be on linear after exporting it as a GLB file. Click on linear, go to your run, change it to linear. You can also click on save to file if you want to. So, but that's not really a problem right now. You can also do the same thing to linear here for the idle, and then for other ones you can just leave them for the meantime. So you just go ahead to re-import it. So once you import, you can just come up here. Now, once I just did this to open this up, so I can just come in here and click on open editor. And once I open it up, I have access to this particular character now. So what I want to do is to just simply come in and replace this one. So if you click here, you see that this is the manicure character I already have here. So every other thing is already here. So I'll just come in here, right click and add a child. So I'm going to also use a mani. So the one I'm using now, I exported it with the same name. So, but this one is under my 3D model. So this is one I have already worked on that I have here. I gave it the same name. So open it up and you see the red one comes in here to replace the old one here. So once I do that, it's going to ask me a few questions because right now this is a character and it doesn't have some things. So I will come up here, and if you open this up, you see that it has the other controls here, but okay, this is our collision, and let me see the collision. The collision is quite good, so I'm just going to just move it in a bit to this particular place. I think this is okay. So go over here now. The old one is this, and this is the new one. So we need to delete the old one. So I'm just going to select the old one and delete it. Once I delete it now, I already have this new one here now. So go ahead to save this as a new scene. So I'm going to save as. So I should have created a scene. So let me create a scene and call this my robot or my player, whatever I want it. So let me call this my robot and save it. And one mistake I made here was to save this terrain in the wrong place. So I'm going to resave it again. It's saved in the wrong area. So I'm going to resave it inside my scene here. So come up here and save it inside the scene. I can just go on to delete it from the other side. So if you look at what is happening here, I just gave this access so that it can be able to be the new one here. But then you need to, let's make this to be editable so you can actually see it. So it's the same thing, but just a different thing altogether. But you need to set it. So to set it, I need to select this here and assign this player character to my manicure, the new character I've already created. So I click on that and it's going to have that. And also I'm going to select my animation tree and assign my new animation player which comes with this particular one to this one now. So this is a new one. So apply it there and just save your work. So right now we'll have our robot ready for us to play around with it. The second thing I want to be able to create now, it's my main scene. So I'm going to click here and create my main scene. This is my terrain. I'll just right click and add my terrain. So this is my terrain here, and I'll open it up. So this comes in to this particular place. I can just rename it as terrain. And then also add my player here, which is my robot. So this is my robot here now. I'll go on to add, if you click here, you can be able to add your light, your sunlight, and also add a world environment. So because we want to change this environment to look different. So now let's work first on the terrain for us to be able to finish up with this. I'm going to come in here and go and put in my main. I'm saving my main right now. So once I save it, I will go ahead to go back to this my character because I did this so that I can be able to see this when I test it. So I'm going to go back to my character now and do some few things on it. So if you go to the player character over here, the robot, you see that it has some codes, and inside that code you see that you have things like attack, you have sprint, you have aim. Look at sprint over there. So we need to be able to configure this. So you have jump, right, left, and all those things. So we're going to configure that. So I'm going to click on projects, go to project settings. I'll go to my input map, click here and add some inputs. So the first one I'm going to add a jump, add it, add a sprint for running, so for the jump, I want my jump to be my right click button. Okay, I think my jump should be my space bar. Let me use my space bar for that. My sprint will be the right click button. My attack will be the left click button. You just click on that. So I have this now. So I have to set up this so that once I do that, I can be able to test this game inside here. So I can save this and let's see our new character and see how it works. All right, click and play. So right now we'll have this, and let's hope it doesn't do that again. So we have this now. So it's walking around. So you can run, you can attack, you can jump. So those are the things we can be able to do. So you see the hills over there. So because we already added these places so that they have collisions on them. So they are not, the character will not fall in. So let's go on to add some effects now. So our job is to make this to be a game where a character will be dropped somewhere here and he has to search through the terrain to find money. That's this is more like a crash site where he has to find money, all the money, and avoid landmine. This is like a landmine place, so he has to actually avoid landmines and get the money. So right now I need to turn down the lights. So first I need to go to my world settings and do some few things. I want to add a, a world light, a HDR image. So I'm going to click up here and I have my background. If you look at the background there, you have the sky. So I'm going to open the sky here, click on this sky here, and then you see you have my procedural sky. So I want to use my panorama sky for this, my job here. So once I do that, it's going to change this for me. So I have a HDR image that I've already gotten that I'm going to use for this particular project. So I'm going to click here to open up this panorama, this empty part here. So go down, I have my HDR. So you can download HDR from the internet, free ones, and you just drag this here and make sure you just drop it into this place. So right now I have something like this. So right now, if you look at what is happening here, let's see if it has a good effect on my character. So I need to come in and go to my ambient. If you increase, you see the effect it's going to be having, and the sky contribution if you want it to contribute less. Now the thing I need to do is I'm going to go down here and reduce the lights here. So this is 0.1. So if you look at what the light looks like right now, this is what it looks like. So the night looks much more realistic than before. So this is what we'll have. And then I'm going to go to my directional lights and also open the light here. So I'm going to go down to 0.3. So you actually see what is happening right now. So I think I need to go down because I need this place to be as dark as possible. That's what I really need. So I'm going to push this back to him here. Let's go down to about 0.1. Okay, so we'll have this. Now don't mind the dark part of the scene. We're trying to do something here. Let me just bring it up a bit so you actually see what's happening. And then I need to add a light. My aim is to add a light that will be following this player. So to do that, I need to go into the player here. I need to go into this player and add some light. A light that will be coming from here, from the chest. Let's add it from our robot here. So I'm going to just right click on this. I need to have access to this skeleton here. Add a light, a spotlight here, and change this to 180 and just pull it up to this place. So let's save it and then come up here and see okay, it's actually showing, but it's acting as if it's invisible. If you actually look at the light here, let's go on to increase the light. So I've added it here, and let's increase the light to about let's say 6. Make it a blue color and save it. You come in here now, you see that the light is actually shining there. So the problem we're going to have is to be sure that it's going to be moving with the body. So this needs to be attached to this, so we might need to do some few things there. So just push this out, and I think the setting I need to turn on is my shadow. Turn on my shadow. So let's go on to play this game and see what it's going to look like first before we'll continue. So you can see the lights showing here. So if you notice the light is not steady, so we need to make it to be a bit steady. That's what we need to do now, because we want in a case where this light will be the only thing that will make it. So let's go back to the robots, and this time around we're going to push it out even more this way and increase the strength more. And then we can increase the range of the how far the light will be seeing things, okay? And also the angle, we can expand the angle too if we need to. So make sure you have pushed it out a bit so the boy does not interfere with it. So we need to do something. Let's make this guy to become local here so that all the parts of it will become accessible from here. So I'm just going to save it. The only problem is that the original one will not be editable any longer. You have to edit everything directly from here. Bring down the entire light completely down. So I'm going to make it to be just 0.01. So if you look at now, the light you're seeing now is just this particular light here. Let me make it 0.02 or 3. So if you look at now, you can see the environment, but everywhere is dark. So this thing that we'll have here, this light that we'll have here, is just a problem with my this thing saving. So let me just see if I can refresh it and have it update itself. So let's go into our shadow, turn it off and on again to save that. In the worst case scenario, so it has been refreshed, so we just have something like this. So it's going to be like a very dark night, and this is going to be coming out from here, and you just have something like this coming up. So over here, I need to do the next task I want to do is to create my environment. So, but environment will need to make this a bit visible so we can see what is really happening here. So I'm just going to create a new thing here, create a new scene. And this particular scene is going to be, I'm going to right click and just open up. We can just go down here straight. Let's just go down here straight and get there. So we'll have a house that we want to use. This house was created using AI. So it's just a simple house I just want to add into the scene. So you can just get that. So I'm just going to right click on it and just open inherited and just open it up. Open anyway. So I want to have access to this. So once I have this my node 3D and I need to make this to have a collision on it. So for me to be able to do that, I always like to do this here. So I'm just going to right click on this, save this as a scene. So this scene is going to be my house. So I'm just going to save this. So once I save it, I'm going to change this guy now into a static body. Just change this. So go to change type and put it to a static body and then add a collision to it. So for the collision shape, I'm going to just use, I think the cylinder should work well for this particular one, so that when the character comes close to this building, he doesn't enter into it. We don't want him to enter into the scene. Oh, sorry, I used capsule. I want to use a cylinder. So something like this. It's just some random house I just want to put into my scene to make it look nice. Then also I'll open up my landmine. This is a landmine, also AI generated to speed up my work. So I'll just click here, open it, open anyway, and then resave it. So I'm going to save it again as a scene, save as scene. Call this my landmine. This landmine now is going to have, this is a node 3D, so I'm going to add an area 3D on it. I'll change this, I'll just go ahead to change this to area 3D and add, so this is my node 3D, I'm going to add an area 3D on it. So this area 3D, I'm going to add a collision shape on it. This collision shape will also be cylinder, which is down. So we want whenever the character touches this particular landmine, that will be a game over for the character. So, but it's going to be in the night, so you have to be walking, and the landmine will just be there. So if you don't walk, if you move too fast, you can actually enter into a landmine. So that's just the idea of this particular thing. So I just have this, and this is what it's going to be like. So we want to be able to put our code on it and have the area 3D control it. I'll just drag this area 3D to somewhere up here so we can, I want it to be close to this one. Save this, and the last one is the money that we're going to be hunting for. So I'm going to open this scene. So I have a bag of money, still AI generated. So just open this up anyway, right click and just save as. So this is money, save it inside my scenes. So I'll just go on to also attach an area 3D on it and add a collision on it. So this one will definitely be a box. Okay, so save this work. So I just have my terrain 3D here. Drag this to here. So this is what I have. So to be able to see what I'm doing, I can just select my directional light is on 0.0, but I'm just going to make it 1 so that I can see what I'm working on until I finish. So now I need to start working on my landmine. So let's start first with our the houses. So we're going to work on the houses, and then we're going to bring it in here. So for the house, I'm going to go to my 3D scene here, my scenes, open up this house. So this is what it looks like. So we're going to use this. So for you to be able to have total control of this, one of the things you need to do is first, I'm going to create a node 3D. And this node 3D, I'm going to call it my house collection. And then I'm duplicating this, and I'm going to call it my house 1. So my house 1, I'm going to instantiate this, my house. So why I did this, so I'm using the TSC, not the GLB file, the TSC here, the scene here. So the reason I'm doing it is so that I can have control over my house itself. So for me to have that control, I can just come in here. I won't be moving this house, I'll be moving this control here. So this is used because if I put a code on this particular house for any reason, then if I try moving this particular one, each time I start the game, it will just come to this 0 point here. So, but I need to be using this. even if it has a code on this one, so I can be using this to navigate to whatever I want. So I can just put this here and just put a house over somewhere there. Add also is for, we're going to add two more things, another node 3D, but this one will be for my landmines. And also I'm going to just duplicate and call this landmine 1. Let's change this to landmine collection. So get this and make it a child of this, drag it under here, get both of them duplicates, and let's change this to our money collection. And then call this our money 1. So now let's go and work on those things now, because those ones have to have a special code whenever we start. So we want in a case where whenever we touch the money is going to just give us some kind of thing. So if you look at this house now, it doesn't have any single light. So if we want to work on this thing now, all you need to just do is just come over to this house. You can just add a mesh here. This mesh is going to be a mesh instance, 3D mesh instance, and I'm going to add this and make it to be, let's say for example, a capsule. And that capsule, I'm going to just bring it up to somewhere here. Let's scale it down. And I'm going to add a material to it. So let's click on it. Go down to materials where you have your material. Let's see material. Look at material there. At the standard material, and we're going to use an emission on it. Click on that. Open up where you have your emission. Turn it on. So we want this to have like a blue kind of light. So save it. If you go back to your main now, you see it's going, it should update on this one here. So that's what you have now. So if you need to have light shining by the side of this, you can always come up here and add a light to it. So I'm going to add my light. So I can add an omni light. So it's going to be shining in a very proportional manner. So I can just bring it here. And I need to reduce the range a bit. And the light itself made it blue, so I have to make it blue here too. You can always duplicate and go for the other one. So you have to always optimize and be sure that whatever you are putting, especially lights, you really need it. Okay, so don't use it too much, because our aim is to make this place to be as dark as possible. So you don't want to have too much light here. So let's see, it's updating. So if you look at now, you have lights around this particular building now, both in the front and the back. So now coming up here, I'm going to go to my, let me start first with my landmine. So my landmine, I want whenever it's touched by any particular thing, it's going to just delete itself and bring up the game over. That's what we want to be able to do. So for us to do that, I think we're going to leave that for our next class. So for now, What we just want to do is just to bring up the entire scene and look at what it looks like. This is going to be the part one before we get the UI and everything, so that this tutorial will not be too long. I'm just going to get in some things here. So I'm going to go to landmine and instantiate my landmine. So if you look at now, let me get my landmine one. I can bring it up like this. So we want to be able to see this game, even though it's not yet complete, but we want to see what it's going to look like when we have done creating it. So just push this down here. And then we'll go for this money, and then we'll also get the child. We're going to put money. So make sure you're using this money one, that's this main one, to move it. So we want to be able to, let's say for example, you can put it just close to this tree over there. So your aim is to avoid these landmines and go and find the money wherever it was littered on this place. So now once we're done with that, we can go back to directional light now and just go back to the 0.03 that we did it at first. So save your work and let's play this game for the first time and see what it's going to look like. So let's play. So if you see your landmines, so you see the buildings are over there, and you have your landmines, and you can just avoid them, because if you don't avoid them, in fact, you can't see anything there if you don't have. I think the landmines are quite very visible. So, but if you run, so you have this here now. And you have the money over there, so you can be able to pick it up. And so in the next video, we're going to be learning how to pick up the money, how to put our UI and everything that we need to put up in this particular game. So if you like the video, please like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.